What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the last physique updates before this year's Europa Pro Germany, which is happening later today. So first of all, we have Ors Kalashinski, the Italy Pro champion, where he shocked the whole bodybuilding world by winning his pro debut in the men's open. Now, there were some lines on his quads, that deep separation that he used to have in classic, which was missing here. But despite that, he won that show quite handedly. And now looking at this one day out physique update, the man seems to be even more ripped compared to how he looked on the stage at this past Yamamoto Cup. And that means he's going to be even harder to beat here. So Ors and Stefan, they both said that they are looking to bring something very special in front of Ors's home crowd. And it seems like they're gonna deliver, because this now seems to be an Ors with his classic conditioning, but with a lot more added size and a lot more mass and density. So unless some of these other top guys, they bring a drastically improved physique compared to what we saw just 1 week back, it kind of seems like it's gonna be 2 for 2 for Ors. And he's gonna be riding that huge wave of momentum all the way into his first ever Mr. Olympia in the men's open, which is happening in October. So Ors has never been outside of that first call out in all of his years competing as a classic physique pro. And I have got to say a finish in the second call out at his first ever Mr. Olympia in the men's open. That does seems like a possibility at this point, and that is gonna be a very big deal. So what do you guys think? Can anyone like Quinten, Mark Hector, or any of these other guys beat this version of Ors today in Germany? Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am. So there is one wild card in this year's Europa Pro lineup, and that is Ali Edward, another guy with crazy amount of size and roundness and amazing density. And for those of you guys who do not know, he was there at this year's Dubai Pro, and he actually looked very impressive. But the lineup was simply too deep for him to make it into that top 5. So he was prepping for all this time after Dubai Pro this year, aiming to do Italy Pro and Portugal Pro. But he just could not get the visa. So this is another guy who could easily be in the mix in that first call out in Germany. In fact, I do believe he's a guy who can challenge guys like Quinten Beastwood and also Mark Hector for the top spot if his back looks as good as he does from the front. So Ali has put on a lot of size from last year to this year. At this point, it's just a matter of how much detail and separation he can bring for this show and how shredded and ripped he can get. Now muscularity wise, he will be very tough to beat. Ali doesn't have the aesthetics of a guy like Quinten or Ors, so we will see how that impacts his overall look here. So Emir, another very young guy, he posted one day out physique update, and as always, this guy is going to be one of the most shredded and one of the most ripped guy at this year's Europa Pro stage, because the fact is, he's always one of the most conditioned guy out there. But his physique is a proof that conditioning alone, that won't get you anywhere near the top ranks if you also do not have the flow, the structure, and the aesthetics. Or on the flip side, if you don't have that freak factor, that mass monster-like look. So he came in 10th last week in Italy, a placing way lower than his own expectations. And the fact that he was coming in 2nd up until last year and the year before that. So let that sink in for a moment. That's how deep the lineups have been in the men's open bodybuilding throughout this year. Now as much detail and separation Emir has on his frame, he loses so much ground because of his midsection. So that coupled with his weak legs, well, they are weak in a sense that he doesn't have the quad sweep, he doesn't have enough mass, enough volume on them, and they kind of appear straight, especially in those front shots. And that is why he doesn't have an X-frame or a very impressive V-taper on the stage. So this year has been the worst year for Emir so far, in terms of the placings that he has gotten in majority of the shows. So kind of the same thing goes for Tim Bodesham too, as Emir. So he also posted a one-day out physique update, and for the record, Tim was 9th at this past Italy Pro, a placing way lower than his own expectations. So this is another guy who was placing 2nd and 3rd in the same shows last year, but this time he's struggling to even get into that first call out. So Louis Breed, he's that one guy who kind of got overlooked last weekend in Italy. In my opinion, he should have beaten Sergio Oliva Jr., and he's the guy to look forward to at this upcoming Germany Pro 2. The hardest guy and the most detailed guy in any lineup that he enters. And he has been able to present a very good physique, a very good shape on the stage too, especially now with that vacuum. So Quentin once again I think is gonna be the main contender for Ors Kalashinski here in Germany. And he's gonna be trying his absolute best to bring his best version ever, because this is the last Olympia qualifier for this year. So his last chance to get his Olympia spot and finally get a pro win, because I do think he's gonna shut the season down and he won't be doing the post-Olympia tour. So what do you guys think? Is Ors gonna win his 2nd pro show in 2 weeks time?
Last Olympia qualifier of the year, so you know everybody's gonna be bringing it. You know I'm bringing it. Most importantly, I'm bringing it. So, let's get the shit, baby. Feeling good. And tomorrow can't come quick enough.
The former Mr. Olympia and the reigning Arnold champion, Derek Lunsford, is now back, training with his trainer Fabrico, the same guy who pushed him during this year's Arnold Ohio prep, and also on and off throughout this year. So now that Derek is also less than 4 weeks out, this is where things are about to get very real. These last 4 weeks, they are either gonna make or break Derek, because this is where Chris Aceto will push him the hardest to get him shredded and ripped to the bone. And this is also the point where Derek has been the most vulnerable in every single prep, because he's so prone to losing a lot of volume and a lot of size, especially on his quads. But so far, there seems to be that exact same strategy that they had for this year's Arnold, which helped him win that show against the reigning Olympia champion Samson. So he was looking so huge up until 5 weeks out to maintain all that size, and now is the time for pain, for suffering, and more cardio, less and less food with every passing week. So Derek has also blocked all the outside noise. And no matter what anyone says or believes or predicts, Derek himself 100% believes that he can create history by winning his 2nd Olympia title this year after losing it the previous year. And his accomplishments so far, they speak for themselves. He's the only guy to have won the Olympia title in 2 different divisions, and people tend to forget how young Derek is. The man is just entering the prime of his career now, and he can make a lot of improvements from one show to the next one. The transformation that he made from the Olympia last year to the Arnold this year, that is the perfect example in that regard. So I guess the biggest rivalry here for this upcoming Mr. Olympia, that is gonna be Derek versus the Mutant, especially after what happened at the Pittsburgh Pro this year. And also hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.